Welcome, everybody, to this first episode of 2021. Welcome to Small Talk, a show to educate on business tactics, inspire you with new ideas, to engage you at a new level in your business and community, and probably entertain you a little bit along the way. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, Chief Strategic Guide and owner of Eagle Eye Strategies, a strategy-first business that helps break your status quo of business as usual, help you bring order to chaos, spark some inspiration and light fires of action to educate, engage, and empower business leaders all over the world. I want to start by giving a huge shout out to our sponsor partner, which is the Chamber of St. Matthews. If you are not a part of your local chamber, maybe consider ours. We'll take you. We like everybody. I probably ought to take that back. It's not that we like everybody. We like working with everybody. We like connecting everybody. So that's what a chamber, first of all, should do for small business especially, is help make those connections for you, provide opportunities to connect. And we want to give a huge shout out to that Chamber of St. Matthews for being my sponsor partner with Small Business Small Talk. And again, starting in 2021, our first guest is also a fellow chamber member. Yay! Which is also nice for me because I'm involved in the Chamber of St. Matthews. So it just helps that I get to know those members more, and I welcome them into the podcast to be able to spotlight them and for them to tell their stories about how they got started in business. So I'm excited about this one because she and I have got to know each other through one of our very interesting, very weird ways of connecting through the chamber called Coffee Chat. And it is a totally different kind of networking. We started it during COVID. We come on those Friday mornings. We share our highs and our lows. It's like we come to grow together as a group of people who become really good friends. And it's amazing the level of networking that happens differently when you decide to dress up in costume and theme it every week.
I know what you're talking about.
So I want to welcome Maria Mears with NoCo Living to the podcast. Yay! Now, I will say I am surprised that you didn't use like the animal background, or you're not carrying Lizzo with you, the lizard.
Yeah, I could have. I actually locked all the pets out of the room so I could have one-on-one time. They might still break in. You never know if a cat may interrupt us at some point.
Well, welcome to, what meetings look like during COVID.
Yes. Usually a cat will interrupt every one of my meetings. And I usually warn people when I start my meetings, just so you know, a cat will interrupt at some point.
I think everybody's used to it. I think, most people like me, I'm looking forward to, do they have the kid? Do they have the cat? I even spoke to a group of women. I did a presentation one night for their group, and somebody had a new grandbaby. So we stopped the presentation, right? Aw, okay, ladies, everybody all together now. Aw. So yeah, that's one of the changes we've made. So NoCo Living, Maria, tell our audience a little about you, what NoCo Living actually is and what you do. So give us your backstory.
Oh my gosh. So where to start? Well, first of all, NoCo Living is the social publication for the residents here in Norton Commons. So I moved into Norton Commons about 5 years ago, and just fell in love with the way the community was. I mean, it sounds weird. People are always like, Norton Commons is one of those neighborhoods that have no yards. We're right on top of each other, but it's such a community feel. I mean, everybody has front porches. You get to know your neighbors really, really well. We're a very social community. So when the opportunity to take on this publication came to be, it was just a perfect fit. And the reason for that, I grew up, actually went to high school in Oldham County. So I went to Oldham County High School, go Colonels. Graduate class of 1998. But, my background, I wanted to be, my goal as a teenager was to be a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist. That was my goal. I wanted to be hard hitting news. And so I went to college, got a communications degree, thinking I was going to be a journalist. And I graduated college, actually a little early. I did college in 3.5 years instead of 4.
Congratulations.
I was just powered through it. really what it came down to is I needed a place to live in the summers. So I took summer classes and lived in the dorms and anywhere else to go. So, that's kind of what happened. So I got done early, but that was cool because I graduated in December of 2001, but it was right after 9/11. So it was a hard time. Nobody was really hiring. Actually, it was the dawn of digital technology was really starting to hit its stride with, the internet and digital newspapers and magazines. So, those paper newspapers were starting to see a die off, and nobody was really hiring at the time. It was very difficult to find a job. Plus, it was the holidays, and actually, one of my funniest stories is do you remember there's a bookstore that used to be around in Louisville called Holly Cook Booksellers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't there one downtown?
There was one downtown. I think there was one off Shelbyville Road in like the St. Matthews Plaza.
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember.
Yeah. So I went there to apply, and I have a communication major with a minor in English. So you would think, okay, I like to read and I know a lot about books. So I'm sitting there filling out my application and for employment, for at least part-time employment until I could find something else. And I'm overhearing this conversation, and this person walks up to the employee and says, "Do you have any books on Stonehenge?" And I'm just like, okay. And so the person just stops and gets this strange look in their face, and they say, "Is that local?"
Oh.
I was like, okay.
Do you not in Louisville, Kentucky? So for those of my listeners not local, Stonehenge is not around here.
No. Though it is funny you say that. We do have a miniature version of a Stonehenge in Norton Commons.
No way.
Now I know that. It's so funny now that I know that part. That story cracks me up, and I actually have pictures to prove it. There was an artist when the neighborhood was being built. The land that the neighborhood is built on, one of the relatives was an artist. And part of the deal was to leave this piece of art in the neighborhood. And so it's this really cool stones, and they're carved all intricately. And there's some other similar stones placed around the neighborhood. It's supposed to be something about ley lines and energy and that kind of stuff, but pretty cool. But it's so funny that now there is a local Stonehenge, just so you know.
Okay, I'm wrong. I take it back.
I know. We all learn something new every day. So, but anyway, my boyfriend, now husband, at the time, he was working at a company that was one of the only ones hiring because they were growing amidst with the economy and the 9/11 and all that happening. Their business was thriving. So they were offering sales jobs, and I was like, well, a lot of communications majors go into sales, and I'll just do that temporarily until I can find something I really want to do. So 18 years later, I was still working there, and I was top salesperson in the company. And, but I didn't love my day-to-day life. It was the same thing I did every day. I got up and went to work and made the sales. But there was nowhere for me to go in this company. And it was just really not, just wasn't happy. It wasn't the best working environment. Didn't fulfill me because my heart, my passion was still in writing and journalism and that kind of stuff. And, I enjoyed sales because I like talking to people, as you can tell. I would literally talk to anybody. It's fine. My husband, I'm from the South. I'm from Georgia. So I will talk to anybody. And my husband's from Chicago. So he can't understand why people talk, like, it just blows his mind when people.
You're Southern and an extrovert.
Yeah. It's a thing. It is a thing. My husband, the first time we went to Atlanta, because I'm a big Braves fan. Been a Braves fan my entire life. Go Braves. Whatever. Like, can't change me. So I made him a Braves fan. I said, if we're going to do this relationship thing, you got to be a Braves fan. So he was like, okay, that's fine. He didn't have an allegiance to a baseball team, so I had to adopt his football team. So go Bears. We're a sports family. So we go to Atlanta, and we're at the baseball stadium, going up and down the aisles, and the ushers are chatting and people are saying hi and waving. And he just whispers, like, why are they talking to us? And I'm like, honey, welcome to the South. And he's so much better at it now, because especially with Norton Commons, people will talk to anybody. But yeah, he just couldn't understand why people would just.
And let me guess, on the back roads, they wave at each other.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
everybody.
if you really know somebody, it's the full hand wave. If you don't know them, you still get the two
Oh
fingers, not the middle, but the
yeah,
two.
no, yeah. Yeah. Oh, and even if he, like, especially in Norton Commons, you wave at everybody. But if you really know them, they'll stop their car, roll their windows down, and you'll have a conversation in the middle of the street. That's usually
So
what
wait,
happens.
Norton Commons is just a fancy backroads area. That's what we're saying. Okay.
It's fancy Southern backroads. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So about a little, oh gosh, it was September of 2019. It was one of my best friend's birthdays. And I'd had a really bad day at work. It was a terrible, terrible day. And I was really upset, but it was her birthday. So we went out to dinner. It was me and my two girlfriends, and we're sitting at dinner. We were sitting at the Village Anchor at the Sea Hag. If anybody hasn't been there, it's fantastic. You should go. Drinking some champagne, cheersing her birthday. We were just talking, and I was telling him about my bad day. And I said out loud, I said, I just don't have any other options. Like, I just don't know what else I would do than work at this place I've worked at for 18 years. It was comfortable. It was the place that I knew since I was 20 years old. I had started working there, and, I'm 40 now. So I known it for so long. And so, the next day I go to work and I'm sitting there and I get 2 phone calls of 2 different opportunities for new jobs. And it was like the world heard me. They're like, here you go. Here's 2 opportunities. Because my husband and I sat there that day and I was like, what do you want? He's like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to do something I enjoy. And those 2 opportunities came in front of me. And one of them was the publication. But of the 2 opportunities, this one spoke to my heart because it was going to be mine. It was going to be my business, my first time running my own show, but I get to write, I get to do photography, I get to talk to people and do some sales, I get to run my own thing. And so I took this on in November of 2019 and hit the ground running. And it was everything was, I thought it was going to go better than it did at first. I was
November of 2019.
Yes.
Okay. So, and then 2020.
Yeah.
Right.
So November of 2019, I went to training for my franchise right before Thanksgiving. So, things were going okay. Things were getting momentum. I had gone into a situation, but NoCo Living is a franchise, but there had been 2 other iterations of the same type of magazine, not the same name, but the same magazine in this neighborhood in the past. And there was a lot of kind of like stigma onto the previous predecessors that I kind of had to overcome. There were a lot of kind of like pushback on some of it, but, I knew that was coming, and I knew I had to make, I guess for lack of a better, I had to prove myself to people that I was not my predecessors. So I was working on that. And I got a phone call on March 13th of 2020 with my launch coach that says, you need to sell this much more. And then like tiny bit more, you're going to print next month. We're launching this thing. And I was so excited. And I called everybody. The next day, Andy shut the world down.
Yeah. I remember that day.
Yeah. And actually, the day before that, I had gone to probably, I think my second St. Matthew's Chamber event. I went to a luncheon, the business networking at lunch thing at Scarlett's Bakery, and sat next to Kristen Ferrari and got to meet her, got to meet Karen Finlayson in person. And I was so excited to join this new chamber, and these people seemed so great. And then the world shut down. So that happened. So then, of course, we all know what happened next. We all just kind of stopped for a month. Like, what? Like, what?
What am I supposed to do here?
Yeah. Like, how am I going to change? How am I going to pivot? like I've now got to launch this thing in the middle of a pandemic. Like this is going to be an adventure. Because everybody then was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't know if I'm going to stay in business. I don't know if there's going to be a new world. Like, I don't know what's happening. So we inched along and we pivoted, and, we started doing all this Zoom stuff. Like, I've gotten really used to Zoom and chatting with people on there and met a lot of people. And we made it, and we launched in July of 2020. So I launched a new business in the middle of a pandemic. Yeah, I was just determined, this was going to be my baby, and I quit a comfortable job, and I needed to prove myself and that I could do this, and that I knew that I was going to make this thing the best I could make it, and I was going to make it awesome. And so I just had to keep pushing forward. And with the help of my launch coaches and my wonderful friend Tammy, who runs a different publication in the city, she and I really buckled down and made it happen. So so we launched. We're now on our our February issue is about to come out. So it has flown by.
And you do these monthly, right?
Yeah, they're monthly issues. The cool part about the publication is the residents are the ones that are sending me everything for it. So, it's really got a lot of momentum now. I mean, the first few months it was like, hey, do you want to be a part of an inaugural thing? But now I'm full for an entire year. I've got my cover families squared away for the whole year. I've got my pet of the month squared away for the whole year. It's funny about the pet of the month. That was the first category to go, because I am convinced people love their pets more than they love their children.
Look, my mom has at least 10 photo albums of old animals that we've had over the years. Guess how many there are of me?
1.5.
One. You're right the first time.
Oh, okay. I tried to give her that extra benefit with the hat.
I brought that up years ago. I was like, why are there this many for just the horses that we had at the time? And we had horses and dogs. And I was like, where's mine? She's like, it's
over. It's
back
under
there.
Somewhere. Well, I mean, hold on. Does Leroy the goat have his own? I am obsessed with the goat. I can't help it.
So for my listeners who don't know, my mom has a hobby farm that has goats and a donkey and all kinds of fowl. So there's, guineas. They've got them stupid guineas, loud alarm guineas. They've got silky chickens. They've got Polish chickens, the one that looks stressed out. They've got all kinds of ducks and geese. They've got geese. Grady the goose has a whole family, right?
Grady. I didn't know about Grady.
Oh, there's videos on Grady.
Okay. I'm Grady the goose now, apparently.
And of course the dogs. They got some outside dogs for alarms, and then Faith is the my fur sister. So
okay.
Yeah, the one who gets upset if I sit in her seat.
Got it.
There's always one of those animals. So yeah, mom's got the farm. It's doing well. Oh, and the pigs. Let's not forget the pigs.
Oh yeah, we can't forget about the pigs.
The pigs.
Wow, goodness gracious. Yes, but the pets are always very popular. Norton Commons is a huge pet community. I mean, we have 3 huge dog parks in this neighborhood. Everybody's out always walking their dogs events. We have a Halloween every year. They have a pet costume contest, not for kids, for pets, pet costumes. It's very specific, and when I was my husband and I were in our closing to sign our paperwork to move into our house here in Norton Commons, the first question they asked me was, do you have a dog? I was like, yes. Like, okay, good. Because if you don't have a dog, you're going to need to get a dog.
It's kind of the prerequisite.
Kind of a prerequisite to have a dog in this neighborhood. And most everybody, that I know has a dog or 2 or 4, whatever.
Now, Lizzo, though, that's an iguana, right?
She's a bearded dragon.
Bearded dragon. Okay. Because I know what my lizards are. I don't even know.
I mean, here, we'll show you. So yeah, the
Because I'm like, why
lizard.
can't you just put a harness on her and like let her walk around?
So, okay, we could technically. So if my background now here, you see, Lizzo's up here in the corner. She's the bearded dragon. So Lizzo was I like to call her my accidental adoption. So a good friend of mine who lived here in Norton Commons, he and his family were selling their house, and we're moving to New York City, like downtown Manhattan, like high rise. They were selling a like 4,000 square foot Norton Commons home and moving the two of them and their two children into like a 1,200 square foot apartment. Like it was called downsizing.
Yes.
And they were selling off all of their stuff because they were moving into New York City, and they had this lizard as a pet. And they weren't super attached to it. The kids liked it and all, but they're like, we really can't think about moving this lizard because, one, taking it to New York sounded impossible, and two, like the footprint that the cage would take up was going to take up a lot of space in their high-rise apartment. So I was like, okay, well, let me see if I can find some people that might want it. So I had a friend that at the time said that she probably would take it. So I told them about it. And so they were very excited about it. And I'm not kidding, like the day before, she backed out. So being the bleeding heart animal lover, as you can tell in these photos here, I was like, I looked at my husband, I'm like, how hard can this be? It's a reptile. Yeah, you got some food. Give it some. They're like, it's really easy.
How hard can this be? Not to ask questions like that. It only gets worse in the movies.
I know, right? So yeah, so I took her in and realized that she needed more than she had because and admittedly they said when they gave him, she's like, look, we did what we could to keep her alive. We didn't really do a whole lot more than that. So, she's doing great. I had to change her whole enclosure, change her diet. I have no more about lizard husbandry than I've ever wanted to know. I literally have a closet in my house that has bugs that live in it, and you have to feed the bugs and take care of the bugs so you can feed the bugs to your lizard. It's a thing. It's a thing, Christy.
And your cats, all four of your cats are okay with this?
This cat over here. Hold on, I gotta go that way. Yep, that one there. That's Frida. Frida is obsessed with the lizard. So she spends most of her day cuddled up like on top of the cage. One, because it's warm, and two, she just stares at the lizard, and so then the lizard gets mad at her on a daily basis. And then,
everybody who's listening, like, you can picture this.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But if you bring the lizard out, then the cats try to the dog could care less. So my dog Bill, he's the one here in the middle. I dressed him up as a cat because I felt like he has a
cat costume on. The poor thing.
He humors me once a year on Halloween and lets me dress him up. But so Bill, my dog Bill's his name. Yes, I named a dog Bill. So Bill, he doesn't care. Like, he really doesn't care about anything. Like cats, lizards, whatever. Like, I have a picture somewhere of the dog and the lizard just both sitting there looking at me, like whatever, like next to each other. The dog could care less. So he's fine. But the cats, like, I don't know, the younger ones like Frida and Georgia, the one up here, they both just kind of want to like follow it around and try to figure out what it is. Or like, you'll always see them like do this number where they're like going to smack it, but they're like afraid to. It just
like, it's the pause of the
that moment. Yeah.
that moment of, do I touch it? Do I touch it? Do I touch it? Nope.
Don't worry. I mean, honestly, Lizzo, she could take them down if she's got good teeth. She's got spikes. She's got some good nails. So I'm not too scared. I would honestly might take Lizzo in a fight on this one, but
Okay, so while we digress.
Yeah, I digress. Sorry. I got off on a tangent.
That's okay. Everybody loves their pets.
I know. I told you people love their pets.
Totally obsessed with pets. I get it.
Yes, pet obsessed. So,
anyway. I will tell you, it's one of the biggest things I miss about my past life is having those pets, because I had two cats at one time. and life just happened and I needed to get rid of everything and including them, and I had to find them a new family. And I have my moments, I'll see stuff scrolling or there'll be a show or whatever. And I just like, and it's been years. This was in 2011, I think. No, it was, oh gosh, it was 2013. That was the sucky ass year.
Yeah.
That I had to get rid of them. And it's 2021 and I still like, oh, Maestro's not here to, he's not here. Like Melody's not here. Like I don't have them. Yeah. So yeah,
when we moved into the house, yeah, we had different pets at the time. Well, and then they were all old and the cats eventually all passed away. So it's just us and our dog. And so we went about 8 months with no cats. And then finally my husband and I were like, okay, this house is weirdly empty without a cat. And yeah, so.
Yeah, it was
back to having a household.
Definitely been a transition, and I'm still not used to it, but I'm determined to not get a pet while I'm staying in an apartment.
Yeah.
So it's just impetus. It's just more drive for me to get my business where I want it to be. So I've got the profit to move out.
There you go.
Go. Yeah. Okay. So speaking of goals, so we've talked a little bit about, you've started a whole new venture during COVID.
Yes.
Which, I've always heard that those who are able to do that have zero issues keeping it going and growing, like smooth times.
Yeah, it was exhausting.
Yeah, because I would venture to guess that that's been, that's an obvious big challenge right out of the gate is like, how do you immediately have to start making changes? So, but what's been a favorite story so far that you've had this year? What's been a favorite moment of yours?
Ooh, let's see. I had a few. I get excited when the residents get excited about the publication, or when I feel like I'm like it's working. Like people really are engaging with it and they love it. Like I was at a I think it was in the fall. We'd only been a couple issues into the publication, and Norton Commons we're big, very social community. So we've been this year has been just awful for us because we love to have our like concerts, our street parties, our we periodically our restaurants will have live music. We love to get out and just be out and experience the neighborhood. So we were able to have one thing. It was on Friday nights. We have a little area here in the neighborhood that they would bring in a guy, and he would do acoustic a little music, and they bring in a couple food trucks. So we got to at least have a little bit of that fun. And I was sitting there with my husband and just, kind of, not really just listening to music. And I got up to go walk and get food or something. And this random lady stops me. No idea who she was. Still don't really know her name. She goes, I just want to let you know, I'm really loving this magazine. I think it's great. And I'm like, thank you. Like, she actually connected me with the picture to the person that she saw. And I don't know, I got a little teary eyed because it was like, okay, this is what it's worth. This magazine, people really love it. And it's become my baby. And I enjoy sharing the stories for the residents, the fun stuff people do. And I also have a junior writer. Her name is Hadley. She's 12, I think. So she writes an article for me every month.
So when you say junior, you really do mean junior.
Junior. She's a baby. She's a little baby. I call her little baby. She's not that small, but anyway, she's 12. And so I give her an assignment each month, and she writes something for me. So in February's issue, it was write a story about your hero. And so she wrote a little story about Rosa Parks as her hero. So we did that. And then she wrote an article about her vacation and that she got to go on to visit some family. And so this month, the March issue, she's writing an article about her favorite restaurant in the neighborhood, that kind of stuff. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's super fun. But her mom said the first issue came out, and I've been talking to the mom about it, not as much about, the little girl. When the first issue came out, this was our first issue of NoCo Living. When it came out, this was I don't know if you can see, actually probably, yeah, anyway, there you go. It was introducing Hadley to the neighborhood as the junior writer. And this is her article here about Hadley Young and her, oh Lord, I can't even, pets are in the way. Anyway, so introducing Hadley. And so she said she got it and she started screaming and jumping up and down. And she was so excited that she won. Her mom's like, what? She's like, I won. I get to be the writer. And she's like, okay. She thought she was in a contest and it was so cute. But, so I was just so excited that she was excited she got to do it. So each month she writes something cute, fun for me, and get to show off the, whatever her topic of the month is that month. And she writes about her favorite books and all that. It's just a nice way to have, you get a kid's perspective on things and what's going on in the world. So she's super sweet, super cute.
So everything that you're telling me so far, it makes it sound like this Norton Commons, because I know we, from the outside looking in, we consider Norton Commons to be one of our more affluent neighborhoods of the Louisville area. But it sounds to me also like it has formed its own Mayberry-ish community where you guys like all good old fashioned kind of relationship building and socializing and getting together and having some fun and, just sharing that life together within this community. How important is it for a business that comes in there to be a part of that?
Oh, it's huge. We embrace our businesses like they're our family. People don't understand Norton Commons. I mean, it can look weird because our houses are all right close to each other. We don't have yards. People think it's like this weird Stepford community. People have said that to me, and I understand where they get it. But once you've been immersed in it, it just becomes your family. People will do anything for each other. We'll come together. The cover family for my January issue, there it is, the cover. That is, so Jordan is Jordan Young. He's Jordan, Jaden, and Julie are on the cover, and he has a rare health condition. And so he wasn't able to be home for 8 months. He had to be at a hospital for 8 months, away from his family, away from his friends during COVID, because of COVID, his immune system was so down, he had to be in the hospital. So when he was able to finally come home, the entire community did a parade for him. And they had like 60 golf carts, people on their golf carts, decorated them, went by, did harm. They got the fire department here in the neighborhood to drive by with their fire trucks. We love to celebrate each other and really get out and show love for each other. And that's how we do with our restaurants, our businesses. We love our businesses here that are in the neighborhood. We love our sponsors in our publication each month. We love to share with them. I have quite a few sponsors that are residents that live in the neighborhood. I have a lot of sponsors that, aren't in the neighborhood and they just want to come into the neighborhood, and we love them all equally. And we really embrace them if we'll take care of them, if they take care of us, and that we can trust them. So, we're just a wonderful community. The one thing I always say is that my husband and I lived in a different neighborhood on the other side of town for about 10 years. We knew 2 neighbors. That's it. I only knew 2 people, like my next door neighbor and the people across the street. Nobody else would ever come out of their house. They might wave at you when you drove by, but they really didn't. You didn't know their names, other than the random lady that walked her dog every night. I knew her, because she was always out. I think the woman literally was always walking. I don't know. Did you have a home? I'm not sure, but anyway, it was very strange. But both of those neighbors both got relocated for whatever reason, and both ended up selling their houses and moving out on the same day. And so I was like, I swear I didn't do anything wrong. Why do you leave me? But anyway, it was sad. So my husband and I, right after that, were like, you know what, we might want to think about moving. Let's think of a place that we could go that maybe we could get to, to be more of a community feel versus this just kind of standard cookie cutter neighborhood that we lived in. So we started looking around and looking at different areas and being closer to friends and being closer to family. And so I remember one day he said, he asked me about something. I'm like, well, I think Norton Commons is like that. He goes, well, what is Norton Commons? And I was like, let me take you there. So we drove over here and we drove in, and first thing he's like, no way. I am never living here. This is really too weird. Not happening. It's like, okay, whatever. And so over the next few months, we kept looking and kept breaking it down. And eventually he broke down. It's like, fine, we'll go talk to somebody at Norton Commons. So we went to the real estate office, and my husband and I have always been the people that like, we're always a little younger than people expect us to be when we walk into places. First we tried to buy a car when we were younger, we got pretty much not helped because we looked too young, like we couldn't afford what we were doing. So my husband expected that result from when he walked into Norton Commons real estate office. But I will tell you, the lady there, her name is Susan Graff. She did not skip a beat. She walked straight up to us, welcomed us in, gave us a whole pamphlet, showed us where all the open houses were, didn't care who we were or what we looked like. And we walked out, and I just looked at it and he goes, okay, I know. So anyway, long story short, we ended up building here in the neighborhood, and we knew more neighbors and more people in this neighborhood before we even stepped foot in our home than we had ever known in that last neighborhood. So our next door neighbors are like family to us. They're, we have porch nights all the time with all of our friends. Well,
and obviously if you've been willing to adopt the dragon from.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Uh-oh, a cat just broke in. You might see a cat soon.
Okay, anyway. So because this is, we do talk about business too. So okay. What's been a biggest business lesson you've learned over the past couple of years since you started?
Really being consistent is really big. Like doing what you say you're going to do. Like if you do that, that means the world to people. Like people don't expect you. Uh-oh. Hi.
And there's the cat.
Yeah, this is Brenda. Say hi.
Hi.
Oh my gosh. Biggest thing, is being consistent and doing what you're going to say you're going to do. Following through is a huge thing for people. And that's, if somebody needs you to call them back. Like, even if it's a tough conversation that you don't want to have, do it anyway. Because your word is as important as anything to people. If you promise something, do it, because that will really make or break what, you're going to do for people. And I've learned that. That was one of the big things when I took over, or kind of really took this on. Some of my predecessors had not done what they said they were going to do. And the fact that, I came in and that's my integrity as well, like saying what I'm going to do and being who I am. So with your business, definitely just being intelligent about things and doing what you're going to say. Don't overpromise. I would much rather underpromise and overdeliver.
Absolutely.
That is my, yes, definitely don't promise the world, and be honest with people. If you mess up, be honest. I tell people all the time, I can't guarantee you anything, but I'll try my best, it's just, be honest with people.
Okay. So who have been some of your biggest influencers in life?
Let me think. Well, there was actually a lady, when I was in high school, I was able to work with a journalist that actually worked at the Courier-Journal at the time. And now she moved to Detroit, worked for the Detroit Free Press. She might be a independent person now. I'm not 100% sure, but her name was Rochelle Riley. And she showed me, what hard work was. And she kind of took us under our wing. We were high schoolers that got to do this high school round table thing with the Courier-Journal, where a bunch of high schoolers from different schools got to come in, and we got to make our own little newspaper and write stories and all that kind of stuff. But she just really, showed us how to do what she did and how we could be successful at it, and how to write stories, and how to really just be a smart, don't be afraid to be a smart person. And don't be, she was just an amazing soul. So anyway, she's still out there. She's fantastic. She and I are friends on Facebook, and I love to see her stuff. She just wrote she and somebody else just wrote an awesome book about they had this little girl who was a model that dressed up like influential African Americans, and they took pictures of them and wrote little stories about the person. And it's from a kid's perspective. It's like a kid's book about historic figures, and so she just did that. But yeah, Rochelle is always a big one for me, because I just dreamed to always be her. So I always would try to follow in her footsteps. And I'm glad that I got back into the writing and magazine and print media world, because that was always my, always my passion. So Rochelle's a big one. I don't know. I always just love to, I look at other business owners, whether they're really big, small, whatever, and there's a lot of other franchisees in my business that I really admire. So I follow a lot of things that they do, ask for a lot of help from people that have been doing it for a long time. And a lot of them have really helped me as well, sat down with me and said, I do this, this, and this is how you can help yourself. And I take any advice that I can take, and, some of it works for me, some of it doesn't. But
so what is the best piece of advice you've ever got?
Oh, Lord. So one guy said, actually, there was a business coach, it might have been through it might have been through the St. Matthew's Chamber that this happened. There was this franchise roundtable that somebody did probably not too long ago. And it was, he was talking about business in general and starting programs and doing different things. Because I'm always trying to add value to my sponsors. I'm adding articles, that kind of stuff. And he said, try three things. Three things. Start three things. One's gonna fail miserably. Another one is going to be okay, and one of them is going to take off. So if you try three things, and it's true. I've actually done that a few times. Like, okay, well, I'm going to try these three things, and one really works, one only is okay, and one just kind of fizzled. And so that really has helped me, like, kind of letting go of the thing that I'm like, this is a great idea. And if nobody takes it, I'm like, okay, that's my one thing that didn't work. So
right.
It was as simple as that. Cause I've never run my own business before. So this was a new adventure for me. And I really take as much as I can from other people too, and just try to learn as I go. And it's great because I feel like what I've learned, I can help people coming in behind me. Like, hey, I've, done this. So I don't fancy myself a mentor or any of that kind of stuff, but I try to learn from my mistakes, and hopefully I can help people learn from mine as well.
Which is, so I was talking to myself this morning about the world in general, and, learning from our mistakes is great. If we can apply the lesson of which we've learned, we might not have to repeat it.
Yeah, that's the hard part, right? That is the hard part. Yes.
Yeah. Because at some point you're like, wait, I've been here before. I clearly didn't apply the lesson I learned.
That whole adage of like, history is doomed to repeat itself kind of thing,
Right.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah. It was just a realization this morning I had. I was like, oh yeah, there's a difference between learning a lesson and having to repeat the lesson because you didn't apply what you learned from the last time.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that.
It's like, it's no wonder I'm finally in my 40s and figuring that out. I had to go through a lot of those repeats
Yeah, you do learn a lot. Like we were talking, my neighbor and I were talking about that the other day. It's like, I wouldn't want to go back to my 20s, maybe my 30s, but like 20s and before, like, man, I was really dumb.
Yeah, it was so big. I mean, I think big now, but I at least know how to apply a realistic plan to my big idea now versus back then. I just thought shit was going to happen.
Right. Like, I mean, I was going to get a college degree, and then all the jobs were just going to fall in my lap, right?
Poof, and there you go.
And I was poof, it was going to happen. And I was like, wait, what?
It didn't. Yeah. Life lessons, man. Okay. So what kind of advice would you give to other people?
Oh boy. Um, don't be afraid to ask for help. You can't do it all on your own. That's the thing. I am one of those. It's been a hard time for me to ask for help sometimes. And so, asking for help. I'm really lucky in my business. Because the franchise, or I guess I'm the franchisee, so the franchisor,
Yep. Yep.
they are amazing. So Into Publishing is the franchisor, and they are amazing. They want their people to succeed. And so they have all kinds of help. So, I have a business coach provided to me through them. And I talk to her once a week, and she helps me with everything from mindset to how do I talk to this client about this, or what do I do in this situation? Just to being I had a bad day with XYZ, and she'll just send me motivational little things, so I can go to a coach, or even to a friend, or like I was telling my friend Tammy, she runs the Anchorage publication version of mine. And if I need help, I go and ask for it. That's the biggest thing I found. If I try to do everything myself, I get overwhelmed and I don't get anything done. And so I've started to try to learn to delegate more and ask for help more, because yes. So, learning to delegate was my big one. So if I can't do it all myself is the biggest thing I know, is because there's a lot that goes into to running this publication. Like, there's appointments, and there's ad designs, and there's collections, and there's your writing and photos and all that. So I have had to learn to ask for help, delegate, hire people, all that kind of stuff, whatever I need to do to keep my sanity as well. Because part of taking this job on as well was that, my last job was 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. So I leave my house at 7, don't get home till 6, took all that time. So now, running my own business and kind of working from home, I was able to kind of, have a little more leeway in time and not try to overwork myself. And so when I first took this on, I was working all day, all night, all day, all night. My husband's like, what are you doing? Like, this is not what you signed on for. And like, I gotta get this. And then a pandemic hit. And so then I was also panicked on that as well. But now it's like, okay, I got to learn to breathe. I got to learn it's like, this is not a crisis right this moment. This person can handle that. This person can handle that. Don't overwhelm yourself with all the tasks.
Right.
It's the hardest part, is letting go of the control of things is the hardest part. But
okay, so if you could talk to any successful person out there, like who's your dream person to talk to?
Oh, that's a hard one.
It could be anybody.
Right. Anybody. I would really love to have a conversation with Elon Musk, because that man is fascinating to me. I mean, so my husband, this is partly because my husband is obsessed with Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, like all of those big, like he reads books and listens to podcasts and all that stuff with them. But I do find Elon Musk very fascinating, and his visionary world that he's just like, well, I'm just gonna make this
we're just going to the moon.
We're going to the moon. Like, we're gonna create a hyperloop. I'm like, who thinks of this stuff? Like, that's the stuff I'm like, I just want to listen to it, fascinated by
what goes on up here.
I try to be pretty creative on things. I think I try to, I'm fairly crafty, I'm, artsy, whatever, but the things in these people's brains, it's very fascinating. I'm also really obsessed with Neil deGrasse Tyson, the astrophysicist. That would be an interesting conversation as well, because I am a science idiot.
Well, that's right. You're a Trekkie too, aren't you?
Oh, yes, I'm a Trekkie. Well, like him call them Trekkers, but yes, I love me some Star Trek. Star Wars is fine. It's fine. I know
two totally different
gonna
things.
Get
You
might
can
not
love
get you
both.
subscribers. Totally different. Yeah, you can like both, but I grew up as a Star Trek person through and through, so that's where my
favorite Star Trek character.
Oh, well, I mean, Spock is the classic. You gotta love Spock. You gotta love Kirk. I don't know. I mean, the Wrath of Khan. Khan is always like a great villain in any iteration of it. Those are some of my favorites. I was just watching, I actually have on my wall over here, I can't reach it, I pull it down. I have the Star Trek The Next Generation. I have a cross stitch that I made of Jean-Luc Picard and Wesley Crusher, and it says, "Shut up, Wesley." And any Trekker will know, you got to love a good Wesley Crusher moment. Worf. You could send me on a spiral of Star Trek.
Yes.
Love me some characters, but yeah, Spock and his infinite wisdom are always my favorites.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So last question. What does success mean to you?
Oh, that's in my heart right there. Yeah, I'm always success is feeling fulfilled and happy and not hating my day. Like when I get up in the morning, I don't want to be upset to work in the morning. I don't want to be upset to do it. I'm going to be excited about what I do. So I feel successful because I have this. I'm happy. Every month I get a little verklempt when it comes in the mail. I get a little teary-eyed when, I think about the potential. No, I get teary-eyed when I think about the potential that the publication has and how many, the stories that connect the residents and the small businesses that I can help connect to the residents here. That's success to me, is when I see the residents when I see my clients' trucks in the neighborhood. That makes me super happy. That's all success to me. Just any little bit of help that I can help give somebody is just, makes me happy that I get to do this. I get to love what I do every day. So that's super fun.
That's fantastic. Well, Maria, I want to thank you for being our guest for the season 1 of 2020. I guess this would technically be season 3 at this point. So,
season 3, 2021.
2021. That's right.
I'm having a hard time saying that. I'm with you.
I think I'm just going to go 21 instead of 2020. Just 21. We're good. It needs to be its own year anyway. It's just 21. Okay. Oh my gosh, 21 should totally be the party year. We
turned 21.
We've come of age.
Uh-oh.
Okay, that's a whole different.
That's a whole
different conversation.
That's coffee chat tomorrow.
So again, Maria, thank you so much for being our guest today on Small Business Small Talk. And for those of you who have been watching and listening, thank you very much for tuning in. Again, to keep watching these episodes, to be able to learn more about those that are my guests so I can spotlight them and share what they do and what their passion is and why they got started and what they've learned. Maybe you've learned something from them that you could apply to your own life and business. As you keep tuning in, go subscribe, but make sure you hit the little subscribe and bell button on YouTube. Make sure you're watching and following the Facebook page for Small Business Small Talk. If you follow it, it should notify you when we have premieres that show up for these things, as well as any of your podcast channels. Please subscribe. You'll get notified whenever we land a new one, which will be weekly through the season that we have. Seasons are run 8 to 10 episodes at a time. I haven't got up to 52 yet because that's a lot.
That's a lot.
So we take a little bit of a break. But with that, I want to thank everybody for your time today, and join us again for the next episode of Small Business Small Talk. Thanks, everybody.